Welcome to the show, Ben Meiselas and Michael Cohen here. Just get into it. There's a lot to cover, Michael Cohen. First and foremost, we should talk about JD Vance, Donald Trump's VP pick. Let's talk about the things that JD Vance previously said about Donald Trump. Let's comment on that. Then let's talk about what's going down right now at the RNC. And let's talk about what took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. You can pull up, here's a list of things that JD Vance previously said about Donald Trump. He said, Donald Trump doesn't offer solutions. Most people I care about are afraid of him. Leading white working class to a very dark place. Trump's a terrible candidate. I'm a never Trumper. Don't think he cares about folks. I never liked him. He's a demagogue. He's noxious. I can't stomach him. He's reprehensible. He's a moral disaster. He's a cynical asshole. He is America's Hitler. We've got text messages from JD Vance, former roommate in law school, where he says, these types of things, that he's America's Hitler. We have his law school roommate say things like, I'm the guy JD Vance sent the America's Hitler text to in 2016. He was my roommate in law school. Obviously, he's a sellout, but the bigger deal is he's angry and vindictive, the perfect fit for Trump's revenge. JD's rise is a triumph for angry jerks everywhere. He's basically a MAGA mini-me. I think we've got the MAGA mini-me photo right here. JD Vance also stated the following about Alex Jones. He said, Alex Jones is a far more reputable source of information than Rachel Maddow. One of them is censored by the regime. The other is promoted by it. And to be very clear, Alex Jones has spread some of the most heinous conspiracies there are.
And has now lost his business as a direct result of those lies. Let's not forget the families that are now going to benefit from the liquidation of his assets.
Let's talk about, though, the kind of shifting of JD Vance, or the complete flip-flop of his entire personality. So here's audio uncovered in 2021 when JD Vance was promoting his book in 2016, saying that he agreed that Donald Trump was a total fraud who doesn't care about regular people. Let's play it.
And I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
But I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
Michael Cohen, this was in 2016 when he said that, and he continued to say that up until he decided to run for Senate, and he needed to go back.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, it's an evolution. It's a completely changed JD Vance. I've never seen an evolution like that. Calling somebody America's Hitler, noxious, a jerk, and then all of a sudden to going to kissing his ass, all for what? For the opportunity to be the vice presidential, candidate because of his affinity for Project 2025 and authoritarianism. I mean, good for this guy McLaurin, who actually came out and said, I was the guy. He validated those comments by acknowledging that those comments were made to him by JD Vance. And to be honest with you, I'm very shocked at Donald, Ben. I really am. I'm shocked that Donald has gotten over this litany of derogatory things said about him, because Trump is not the kind of guy who gets over even the slightest bit of a ding. He's incredibly sensitive. He'll tell you he has the thickest skin of anyone alive. He's actually incredibly thin-skinned, and he's got an enormously fragile ego.
Well, one of the things here that is worth noting as well is that the 17 most senior political appointees of Donald Trump, there seems to be something similar about them in this photo, I'm beginning to notice a pattern here, as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski said. They're all white males in this photo. I think we have it if we can pull that up in just a moment. There it is right there. I also don't know, Cohen, in addition, at every level, other than the fact that JD Vance kissed Donald Trump's ass the most and said that he'll allow Trump to do anything, violate any law. And also JD Vance is one of the most kind of pro-Putin senators that there are, anti-Ukraine. There's nothing else that JD Vance actually offers. He's already from a pretty safe red state in Ohio. He doesn't have an appeal beyond the MAGA base. His positions on women's reproductive rights. He wants there to be national abortion bans. He voted against IVF, big proponent of Project 2025, says that women who are in violent relationships shouldn't be allowed to get divorces, but he was the best kiss ass in the competition, and that's the message Trump wanted to send. You may remember in 2022, Donald Trump put JD Vance through a humiliation ritual where he mocked JD Vance in front of the crowd in Ohio, and JD Vance had to take it. And let's just show everybody, to remind everybody what happened in the midterms in 2022. Let's play it.
JD is kissing my ass. He wants my support. I think he's running JD on an I love Donald Trump policy. Yeah, he said some bad things about me, but that was before he knew me, and then he fell in love.
Are we having a good time? Is it great to have the president back in Ohio?
JP, right? JD Mandel.
What the hell is he talking about? I mean, it's one, I don't know. It's so sad. Could you imagine that this is going to be the ticket? This is the Project 2025 ticket. So folks, when we turn around and we talk about how dangerous this country has become and the dangers of losing our democratic republic, if most people, what's really sort of getting to me, Ben? We talk about Project 2025 all
the time. Yep.
And by the way, we must all be talking about Project 2025. But few people actually have read any part of Project 2025's 900 plus page manifesto. They have read nothing about it. What they do is they get whatever information, misinformation, malinformation that they get on these, on this manifesto. They get it from wherever they get their social media platform, wherever they get their information from. And the problem is that it's wrong. It's just wrong. Things that they don't talk about. The Project 2025 manifesto calls for the elimination of civil liberties. Could you imagine this? That's just one of the many. There's a whole multitude of these sort of things. They want to deregulate all of the government agencies. What's going to happen to your drinking water? What's going to happen to your air? It's all about profit over future, over leaving to generations to come, leaving to them an earth that they can inhabit, a place where food, like in the ocean, will be able to exist. The water won't be polluted. The air won't be polluted. I don't know what they're doing with it. And as Ben said before, Project 2025 calls also for removal of women's rights, of the LGBTQ plus community rights. I mean, it goes so deep. And then when you listen to somebody like this Amber Rose talk about how Donald Trump, loves the black and brown and the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah, that one right there. I mean, this bubblehead, which is the only way to describe it. First of all, what the hell is she even there on the stage of the RNC? It's because they can't get anybody. It is so reminiscent of 2015, 2016, when Trump could not get anybody to play at his inauguration. And so they got some young kids to sing, the national anthem and to do some things. And then they went to find like C-rated, singers and others, celebrities to show up. It's exactly what we're talking about here. Who gives a shit about Amber Rose? What the hell does she have anything to do with this entire election? I mean, I guarantee you she hasn't spent. I bet you she doesn't even vote. That's the saddest part. Just complete and total, you're right, complete and total losers.
Well, I want to talk about Amber Rose. I was going to talk about it later.
Oh, sorry about that. I jumped the gun, didn't I?
No. Look, we're fluid here. Let's get right into it. So Amber Rose spoke after you have Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, MAGA Republican senator, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Then you have Amber Rose. First, let me show you what MAGA Republican Senator Ron Johnson had to say. Play this clip.
This fringe agenda includes biological males competing against girls and the sexualization and indoctrination of our children. Today's Democrat agenda, their policies, are a clear and present danger to America, to our institutions, our values, and our people.
And so he's spreading their kind of QAnon conspiracy, Project 2025 stuff, and transphobia. Then Marjorie Taylor Greene really makes it 2 for 2 with RNC speakers pushing transphobia. Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said when she was on stage at the Republican National Convention. Play this clip.
They promised unity and delivered division. They promised peace and brought war. They promised normalcy and gave us Transgender Visibility Day on Easter Sunday. And let me state this clearly. There are only 2 genders.
I mean, you know what makes me laugh, Ben? You know, we all, I get it. I mean, I get this notion of, transgenders in sports. There was an issue regarding a swimmer, but you know what? I'm not a fan of Ron Johnson. So, you know what would be really interesting, because, he thinks that it takes a transgender in order, right, to beat another woman, or a transgender to beat a male, and so on. I would love to see Ron Johnson in a ring with Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg, Ronda Rousey of the MMA, right? I would love to see him in there and just get an understanding that your ideology of a woman being barefoot and pregnant, home, whose sole purpose in life is to bear your child, that doesn't exist. That ideology is from the 1500s and 1600s. I would hope that in 2024, soon to be 2025, that we have evolved intelligence-wise, Ron Johnson, that we have evolved, that we understand that it doesn't make a difference, male or female. There are greats in each and every one. I'd like to see him on a tennis court with Serena Williams or Venus Williams, or even this young girl, this Paoli, this 5'4", girl who almost took the finals at Wimbledon, right? The Italian girl. I'd like to see him on a tennis court with her for a couple of dollars as a bet. It is so stupid. The whole notion is so stupid. But what they do is they find the one issue, and then they decide to expand upon it, and then expand upon it. And then each and every one of these MAGA morons, they all join in, because that's what they do. It's all part of the talking points memo that they get on a daily basis from the Trump campaign. And the more that you spew the horse shit that's on the talking points memo, the better you are in the camp. It's amazing.
Well, on most issues, we talked about this on the last Political Beatdown, when you talk about climate, when you talk about the environment, when you talk about gun control, when you talk about democracy, when you talk about wages and unions, when you talk about women's reproductive rights, when you talk about seniors, when you talk about LGBTQ plus equality and treating marginalized communities with dignity and with equality and not bullying. Americans, by and large, actually agree. 70%, 75% of Americans agree, just treat people with dignity, just be compassionate. Let's have a bottom up, middle out. We're not trying to give unfair advantages to billionaires. Keep Social Security, keep Medicare. Like these policies, there's huge amounts of agreement. So what they try to find are these wedge issues in order to mock, demean, and bully people, and to bully very vulnerable and marginalized and weak communities where there's very high suicide rates, and them in their positions of strength are bullying and punching down and mocking the other and trying to divide Americans along those lines versus bring them together. And then they use the corporate media and say, yeah, but what we're really talking about here is love. And we're talking about unity and bringing people together. No, you're talking about trying to unify people around an authoritarian in Donald Trump. That's the messages that you've been sending. Donald Trump's already been posting things saying that January 6th is a hoax. Donald Trump has been defaming his sexual assault victim, where Trump was found liable for sexually assaulting a woman by a jury. Trump's been mocking her and attacking her online. You don't hear a peep from the media about it. It's my dog Taquito for a second. Taquito, chill. I want to show you this, though. This is Amber Rose, though. So after all of that kind of bullying on stage, they then bring Amber Rose on stage, and Amber Rose then says, but look, what this MAGA movement is about is where everybody comes together here. And it's like, we just heard, stop gaslighting us. And then the media goes along with it. It's like, we just heard the speakers before you. We heard what the crowd says. We hear what Trump's saying every single day. And Amber Rose goes, well, this is where I belong because this is where love is. And we bring everyone together. Watch this.
I realize Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong.
Yeah,
by the way,
what has to be, what you need to do? Can we go back to the first 8 seconds when they pan through the crowd? Donald Trump and his supporters love black people. I don't see any black people in the entire audience. I don't know who she's talking to or what she's talking about. How many of these rallies, other than the paid Blacks for Trump that stand camera left and camera right over his shoulder, how many minorities do you see at these Trump rallies? And the answer is few, very few. And there's a reason why it's few. Regardless of what this bubblehead Amber Rose, this TV personality and model, she's got a great smile. Unfortunately, what's coming out of her mouth is pure bullshit. We all know it. We have heard Donald say racist and sexist and misogynistic and xenophobic and homophobic and Islamophobic and anti-Semitic tropes out of his mouth again and again and again. And so one person standing up in front of a podium, you're not changing anybody's minds, Amber. You're certainly not changing beatdown brigaders' minds, that's for sure.
Well, and look, this is what Amber Rose previously said during an interview. And she said that she supports Satanism because it's a logical religion that helps women with their reproductive rights. Here is what she said recently. Here, play this clip.
Satanists are just, they're atheists as well, but they're just more political.
Okay.
They have like it's actually a very rational, logical religion. They help a lot of people, a lot of women to get abortions. in southern states that, where they're illegal. They help a lot of the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community. They're really great with that.
Okay, those southern states where it is illegal are Republican states. You're speaking at the Republican National Convention. And look, Cohen, there are going to be a lot of people who are total frauds, like Amber Rose and Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's sad, but there are demagogues in this world, and that's to be expected. Now, what we just showed there and what we're calling out here seems kind of rudimentary as part of what the role of the media should be. Okay, yes, a person is saying something, but guess what? People lie. And the corporate media will parrot these words over and over again to push the narratives versus to push the truth. And we're seeing that post-debate. We're seeing that post the Pennsylvania shooting in Butler, where the media lets Eric and all these other MAGA say they tried to kill him. And you don't ever hear the corporate media go, who's the they? The person who was a Republican, someone who had Trump signs at their home, someone who was at the gun range wearing Second Amendment paraphernalia, and they push the narratives over and over again. I want to show you this, though, before moving on to that next topic. All these MAGAs, a lot of them, have done some of the most heinous things. And then you call them out. And then what does corporate media do? They both sides it and go, you're using extreme rhetoric in calling them out. Tone it down. Like here is Marjorie Taylor Greene on video harassing David Hogg, a survivor of the Parkland school shooting, and calling him a crisis actor. She literally stalked a survivor of a school shooting, mocked him, stalked him, harassed him. And then they go, oh, but people like the Midas touch, you got it. You can't call them out. It's really extreme rhetoric. Let me show you what's extreme. Play this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the leaders of the MAGA Republican Party. Play the clip.
Yeah. David, why are you supporting the red flag laws? If Scott Peterson, the resource officer at Parkland, had done his job, then Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have killed anybody in your high school, or at least protected them. Why are you supporting red flag gun laws that attack our Second Amendment rights? And why are you using kids as a barrier? Do you not know how to defend your stance? Look, I'm an American citizen. I'm a gun owner. I have a concealed carry permit. I carry a gun for protection for myself, and you are using your lobby and the money behind it and the kids to try to take away my Second Amendment rights. You don't have anything to say for yourself? You can't defend your stance? How did you get over 30 appointments with senators? How'd you do that? How did you get major press coverage on this issue? And how did you get kids? Why do you use kids? Why kids? If school zones were protected with security guards with guns, there would be no mass shootings at schools. Do you know that? The best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun. But yet you're attacking our Second Amendment. And you have nothing to say. No words. So I'm walking.
Michael,
the mistake that David Hogg made is that he did walk away. He didn't confront her on it. What he should have turned around, like I would have turned around and said to her, well, I thought that there were also dog leash laws in D.C., right? Where's your leash, you fucking mutt, right? You fucking mutt, because that's what she is. And this horse shit, who gives a crap that she has a concealed license? Oh my God, fantastic. You're all by yourself. That you like we want the Second Amendment. In fact, those of us that believe in the Constitution believe in all the amendments. What we don't believe in is bump stock so that you can take any gun that you buy and you could turn it into a fully automatic machine gun. Okay, that is not what the Constitution calls for. All right, no matter how you want it, she is a fucking mutt. She is a moron and a half, that bleach blonde bad body. What he needed to do is, you just can't walk past a kid who is a survivor of a horrific shooting at a school. Friends died, the whole 9 yards, and she wants to nullify what he went through because she has an agenda. And what was her agenda? To turn around and to show her other MAGA morons that she's not going to sit back. She's not. How did I get, when she asked him, how did you get appointments with 30 different members of Congress? Hey, Marge, large Marge, here's what I did. I picked up the phone and I called and I said, hello, my name is David Hogg, and I'd like to make an appointment to speak to Senator or Congressman so-and-so. And then they either said yes or they said no. But that's the problem, all right? The problem is you're an idiot and you have no idea how one makes an appointment, and you are a member of Congress. But good, I couldn't be happier to know that you are fully armed with the intelligence. I would ask her, would you do me a favor? Would you piss into a cup? Because you clearly must be on some sort of a medication, one that probably doesn't even permit you to own a gun, because you're one fucked up, bleach blonde, bad body bitch.
You know, as I watch, though, that clip, I think to myself, you know, is Marjorie Taylor Greene some rogue, low-level person, you know, who's just like acting random? You know, I mean, she's at the top of the Republican Party. You know, she would get a position in a Trump administration. She'd be vying for Secretary of State. She'd be vying for a defense secretary, commerce secretary, maybe the EPA administrator. You know, she would likely get a cabinet level position in charge of things that will impact your life and your family's life and your neighbor's life and your community and the country and the world. Someone who was out there kind of stalking and harassing a child, a kid, high school student at that time, who survived a school shooting. And so when the corporate media puts on their 24-hour coverage, their primetime coverage of the RNC, and they don't talk about that, and instead they push their narrative, oh, Donald Trump's tone is now changing, and this is a convention of unity. And to us, the brigaders, and those who watch the Midas Touch Network, you know, one of the best way to describe this feeling of watching this corporate media do it, and we'll talk about this after the break, the word that comes to mind is betrayal. Because we knew Fox and OAN and Newsmax and all of those. Now, we suspected corporate media that we would also watch would be, we knew that there were hosts that weren't good. We were wondering, hey, why aren't you reporting on Biden's accomplishments? Because all of the objective criteria you would normally use to judge a presidency, you're not talking about at any level of substance. So what's going on there? Oh, and when Donald Trump's found liable for sexual assault and he becomes he's convicted of 34 separate felony counts, and he's found to have engaged in massive fraud and fined over $500 million. And when Donald Trump, says things like, I want to be a dictator, we're all like, well, why aren't they covering it? And now with 4 months to go before the election, they've taken their masks off, and it is betrayal. There's no other way to describe it. And to see these people cheer on and root for fascism the way they are and to become like the way they have propaganda media in Russia and propaganda media in North Korea and Kim Jong-un's regime, to watch that happen. And we're like, what? Excuse me? I want to talk about that. Let's talk about more, but let's take a quick ad break if we can.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Rhone. If you're like me, you understand the pains of finding out what to wear. Let's face it, most clothes are uncomfortable or too tight or never actually the size that you really are, and not to mention the annoyance of trying to put together a good outfit. And when you finally do have a good fit, you can only wear it for a few hours before you have an important meeting or dinner, and then you have to change. Everyone wants to dress their best and look good at all times because, frankly, it's a confidence booster. So here's the deal. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. And here's why. Rhone helps you get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Rhone commuter collection. Rhone's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy what life throws your way, from your commute to work to your 18 holes of golf. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. With Rhone's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. It's that easy. With the Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll be smelling fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, Rhone is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. I absolutely love Rhone. This has truly become my go-to commuter fit. We're on the move a lot, whether it's jumping from meeting to meeting or catching a flight or an important dinner. The Rhone commuter collection has never let me down. The versatility and overall comfort of the collection is undefeated. And even after I wear it all day, I still feel super fresh because of that Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. So right now, head to Rhone.com/Cohen, that's Cohen, and use promo code Cohen to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/Cohen, Cohen, and use code Cohen. It's time to find your corner office. And now, back to the video.
It's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%, get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Welcome back. This is Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Cohen, before the break, I was just reflecting on the way these narratives, tsunami of narratives, is driving the corporate media coverage. And I don't want to keep spending all the time saying the corporate media this, the corporate media that, but I think part of our duty as creating independent media, though, is to draw the contrasts. And as part of drawing the contrast, I think it is critical for us to be very fact-based and call things out as we see them, to follow the data where it is, and to just continue to report these things. Like, as I was saying before the break, if you look at all of the metrics that were once used to judge the success of a presidency, and if you look at GDP growth, if you look at wages, if you look at unemployment, if you look at energy independence, right? If you look at the stock market, although the stock market should not be a central driver, but the stock market under Donald Trump, we heard about it all the time. The Dow hit a fresh all-time high today, all from the Dow to the NASDAQ to the S&P. Everything is doing better now than under Donald Trump. And even if you look at the issues like border crossings, it's down. If you look at crime.
Not if you listen to MAGA. Not if you listen to, it's one of the things that, Ben, when you and I have our offline conversation, I talk about MTN. I talk about all of the various podcasts, yours, mine. I talk about all the things that we're doing together, and the whole purpose of Midas Touch Network, the whole purpose of Mea Culpa and Legal AF and the Midas Brothers and so on. The whole purpose is to give you an unbiased view. Now, yeah, I'm biased. Don't get me wrong, but not in my facts. That's the difference. All right. When somebody turns around and they want to turn and say to you that the reason that Donald Trump was shot at by this 20-year-old was because of the rhetoric coming out of Joe Biden and the Democrats. That is a lie. And I, like Ben, believe that it is incumbent upon media, all outlets of media, and I don't care if it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, PBS, NPR, it makes no difference to me. You cannot allow a lie like that to fester. Because when it festers, it grows. And when it grows, what happens is it gets regurgitated over and over and over again until the lie becomes the truth. It is not the Democrats' position of gun. Democrats have been trying to create some form of gun control, sensible gun control, not like Marjorie Toilet Green says, to take away everybody's gun rights. And so that's never been a Democratic principle. It is to turn around and make sure that guns are only in the hands of people who should have them. And that just doesn't mean law enforcement. That means anybody, if you're not dealing with some sort of mental psychosis or something like that. Will it prevent every single, assault using a rifle? The answer is no, it will not. But it certainly will limit who's able to get a firearm. And more importantly, there'll be cool-off periods. There'll be a whole bunch of stuff. CNN has become, honestly, worse than Fox. I myself, who have gone on CNN hundreds and hundreds of times, I can't go on it. I can't watch the show. I sooner watch Storage Wars than watch CNN. I cannot take it when they are spewing, again, this misinformation, this disinformation, this malinformation, because they believe that it helps them to create corporate profit. That's not what you're going to get on Midas Touch Network. And that's why Ben and I decided to start Political Beatdown, why I moved my Mea Culpa podcast onto the MTN network, The reason is we believe in certain things. Now, we may not agree on policy or the full extent of the policy, but I tell you what, we do agree, that it has to be factually accurate. You've heard Ben correct me or me correct Ben during our conversations if something is inaccurate. You don't get that. You don't get that anymore with news. Now it's get past that news cycle and on to the next chaos. And it's impossible to understand what is right, what is wrong. It is so confusing to the average American. And that's why Donald Trump and a JD Vance are even more dangerous with Project 2025 than people acknowledge or people can even imagine. And I'm disgusted by it. And I'm scared. I truly am. I am nervous about what is coming down the road in 4 months. The Democrats, we are not doing enough. And I ask each and every brigader that's with us today, tell your friend to join us. Tell all your friends to join us from 4:30 to 5:30. Join us on Patreon. Join us on Political Beatdown. Join us on the various different podcasts that are there. Why? Because you are getting facts. And again, how I relate to the facts, my anger towards the guy, my anger towards the entire administration of 2016 to 2020, it is what it is. It is what it is. But you're not going to get adulterated facts. You get the straight up, unadulterated truth, plain and simple.
You know, that's why above politics, data is supreme here on the Midas Touch Network. And as I always say, I don't even consider what I do, and this may be strange because some people are like, well, you talk about politics. First and foremost, it's, to me, a lot of these things aren't political. Going back to what I said at the outset, I think there's about 70 to 75% of Americans who agree on certain common sense issues. When you present the issue and you actually remove politics and you remove the divisions. And what corporate media is stoking and what Trump is very good at doing, and frankly, foreign actors as well, is stirring those divisions, pitting us against each other, so that where there are these huge areas where we should be coming together, we are not. And we are fighting with each other. And in fact, that's why you hear at the RNC over and over again, they're saying, fight, fight, fight. They're saying that out loud. And then you hear the corporate media go, but this is a change in tone.
Then what are they talking about? Fight? Fight what? What are they fighting? Are they fighting the system? Are they fighting the Democrats? Why are you fighting the Democrats at the RNC convention? No, Democrats, when we have the DNC convention, we're not talking about fighting the Republicans. They're taking the words out of Donald's mouth after the shooting incident. That's all that they're doing.
Take a look at this, for example, though. And if you want to know, when they're saying fight, it's fairly easy to connect the dots of what they're talking about here. Just listen to what they're saying at this convention with no pushback ever from any media. So here is MAGA Republican Congress member Corey Mills suggesting that the shooting of Trump was some sort of inside job by the others. And watch what they say here. Play this clip.
We're getting closer to uncharted, like very dangerous territory here, and scary. Were there people that wanted Donald Trump dead that didn't do their job?
Can I just be completely honest about what I believe? Because I just say it the way I say it. There is such negligence here that I pray and I hope that that's exactly what it was, is a complete failure in the cooperation and coordination of local law enforcement and other agencies. But the more that I look at this, as much as I don't want to be this conspiracist to say its intent, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. First, they wanted to silence and censor him. Then they wanted to indict and imprison him. Now they've tried to kill him. We need to start having a proper investigation. So at minimum, we can share with the American people with confidence that this was just negligence and that we made a correction.
I pray it was a bunch of dumb people, but Corey, breaking news today.
But look, DEI means DIE.
I agree. And by the
way,
here is.
Can I just say something here for a second to our brigaders? This is our fault. Somebody like Corey Mills, that is our fault. This jerk off, all right, this jerk off has no business in the people's house. He has no business wearing a congressional pin. This guy is out of his goddamn. Can I be honest with you? You're not being honest. Anybody that's going to tell you, hey, let me be honest with you. Do you know that they're fucking lying to you? Oh, yeah, they're trying to kill Donald Trump. Nobody's trying to kill Donald Trump. In fact, the kid, this mentally deranged shooter, is a Republican. He's a Republican. And so they're creating a conspiracy theory. For what? They need the conspiracy to put me against you and you against me and Republicans against Democrats and Floridians versus New Yorkers and everybody in between so that they can get what they want. And all they're looking for is money and power.
Here is what they are promoting at the Republican National Convention. They're currently having AR-15 giveaways. So when you show up, you can enter yourself to get a free AR-15. This is real. And, you know, this is something that they are continuing to promote. The shooter used an AR-15. Here is MAGA Republican Senator Ron Johnson blaming the shooting on DEI. And just remember, you go back to Amber Rose saying, you know, look, this is all about diversity and equality, and that's why I'm MAGA. And then you have the actual other speakers blaming the fact that it was a Republican who was the shooter, who was a Second Amendment kind of fetishization gun nut who would, you know, wear all of the paraphernalia. Apparently there was, you know, Trump signs on the yard of this family. The dad's first reaction when he heard that there was a shooting was to call the police and wonder if it was his son. His son was at a gun range at the time. And so that's who this is. Now, I'm not implying that there are, you know, deeper motivations behind this. I don't know why this 20-year-old white male Republican behaved the way he did on that day. And there is no place at all for violence in our political system. But then the MAGA Republicans turn this into something against the other, the they, which is implying that, and not even implying, the MAGA Republican Congress member Mike Collins said Joe Biden did this. Joe Biden ordered it. JD Vance made comments like that. This is what Democrats have wanted. Marjorie Taylor Greene makes posts saying Democrats are the parties of pedophiles right after. And they put this. And then when you criticize that and you go, whoa, what are you talking about? And by the way, Donald Trump is out there saying, he's on tape, he's on video, saying he wants to be a dictator. He says it, I want to be a dictator on day one. And you call that out. Or Donald Trump says immigrants are poisoning the blood, and you call that out. They're like, why are you calling that? That's such an extreme rhetoric that you're using.
Ben, let me also say to you, the speculation on this guy, Thomas Cooks, the speculation as to why he did it, and listening to these pundits like this idiot from Florida that we just listened to, or some of these other absolute know-it-alls that you see on the mainstream media, not one brought up the issue of, you may remember him, John Hinckley Jr., the guy who shot Ronald Reagan. He didn't shoot Ronald Reagan because he was a Democrat trying to kill a Republican, or he didn't like Ronald Reagan, or he had some sort of an animus towards one of the policies that Reagan was promoting. No, he shot him to impress a girl. And we don't know what caused this 20-year-old to lose his mind, to get up on top of a building and to shoot at a former president at a presidential candidate. We have no idea. And the speculation is so angering to me, because we're not even giving law enforcement 48 hours, 72 hours to come up and to find out and report back to the American people the information that they learned. Instead, well, yeah, he landed on the roof. He's actually an alien from another planet. I can't even pronounce it because it's not even something that's pronounceable. It's like, oh, and then all of a sudden he was there and he had an AR-15 and now he's taking a shot. I mean, it is as stupid, nonsensical as the comments that you're hearing right now on mainstream media. And that's something Ben and I talked about from the inception of this show. And from when I decided again to move Mea Culpa over to MTN, none of that shit is permitted on this network. Here, it's factually based. It's accurate. It's accurate. And that's why, again, I keep saying this is all on us. All right. We need to create a bigger community with each and every one of you so that we make sure that in 4 months from now, we don't get another one of these maniacs that we were listening to, this Republican from Florida. We don't get another Republican from Florida maniac. This one, though, occupying the White House. Absolutely. It is incumbent upon us to ensure that this does not happen.
You saw the interview with Lester Holt and President Biden where they were saying, well, you're ratcheting up the rhetoric, though, President Biden. Do you blame yourself for it? And Biden's like, what kind of even framing of that? Like, what are you talking about? The other guy says he wants to be a dictator. And then they go and they're like, well, MAGA's changing its tone now. We're all MAGA. How is the shooting going to help Donald Trump with the black vote? I mean, that was actually an article by Forbes. Politico goes, I wonder if this will hasten President Biden dropping out now that Donald Trump was shot at by this, by this person. I'm like, rather than pushing the narrative, just report on what it is what happened and focus on that. I don't like to look at polls. I never did. I never thought, they are, they're accurate, because when we actually have data, whether it's the midterms, the special elections, they're always wrong. Like, they're always so wrong. And the authoritarian and fascisms always underperform, especially in kind of the post-Roe world. But as I look at these, I look at the 538 model and I look at others, and there really hasn't been a major change. And that was the one, this 538 is actually, that I'm showing you today, it was 53-47 in favor of President Biden. And yet you would think that it was a 20-point spread, which, by the way, in October, Romney versus Obama, in October, Romney was up in most polls by 4 or 5 points. In October of that.
Ben, one of our brigaders turned around and said, you may remember when John Lennon was unfortunately assassinated, the guy was a fan. I mean, again, I just want to go back to the whole point. Mainstream media, it's enough. Your assistance in promoting lies after lies after lies, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, it has to stop. Because what it's doing is it's confusing. It's confusing the American citizen who doesn't know anymore where to go. Where do I go in order to get my news? Do I go to TikTok? Do I go to YouTube? Do I go to, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, whatever? No. Go to Midas Touch Network. Why? Because again, here, you're not going to get that spewed bullshit. We're not gonna follow their suit. Why? Well, we don't have that paid advertisers in order to, we have small advertisers. They have an entire budget that they have to fill, and they're willing to turn around and to sell their souls for the sole purpose of what? Of appeasing their advertisers so that they can give profit to their shareholders. What about America? What about the future of our democratic republic? It's almost like Well, is that true? It's not true. I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Who knows? You know, what do I have to do? There used to be a time that you used to listen to somebody like Walter Cronkite, and nobody ever turned around and said, nah, that's bullshit. That's just fucked up. That's a lie. No. So to mainstream media and all of you profit, mongering scumbags, fuck you. All right? It's enough. You're fucking up our entire country. You're fucking up the future for our children and all the generations to come. And they got to stop it once and for all. And the only way to stop it is stop watching them. Just stop watching them, regardless. Lester Holt, for God's sakes, this is the guy who used to have integrity, to come out and to ask Joe Biden whether or not the shooting of Donald Trump should get him out of the race, that Donald Trump is going to win because he got shot by some 20-year-old Republican in Pennsylvania? How? Why? What sort of a dumbass question is that? In fact, Lester, if I had another set of two-finger salutes, you would get it.
There you have it, folks. I want to make this commitment to everyone watching the Beatdown, all the Brigaders, the Midas Touch Network, Legal AF, all of our shows. We're going to keep reporting through this lens. We're not going to stop. And we're going to keep on growing together because this is fueled by you. This is fueled by the community. This is about saving our democracy. It's that simple. With the facts, with truth. Again, I go back to what I said at the outset. With all of this division out there, right? There's actually much we agree on when we can get past the lies and the hate that spread. That's why often you hear on the various Midas Touch Network shows, a lot of times I'm just talking about like, let's figure out ways to just be happy and like, let's, and we call out bullying and we talk about just, how could we, increase the pro-democracy coalition? How could we allow people to know, the facts about all of these, issues and take the complexity and break it down in ways that you understand. We're never going to stop doing that.
But Ben,
we're going to keep growing.
Can I surprise you with something in front of all the Brigaders? And Brigaders, I want to let you know, Ben does not know this. I just got this while I'm talking to you. I had some jackets made for you, me, the brothers, and so on. And I thought you would appreciate it. That's what it's going to look like.
Oh, I love that.
It gets better. It gets better.
That's incredible. That is a special treat. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Happy birthday, whenever the hell it is.
I'm excited for that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Oh, make sure you check out Mea Culpa. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa Blue. So wherever you get your audio podcasts,
subscribe right now.
Subscribe right now. Subscribe to the Political Beatdown podcast. And then Cohen, this week.
Oh, yeah. By the way, please remind them, my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel as well, which is The Michael Cohen Show. But back to you and Patreon. Yeah. When are we doing our Patreon, Ben?
Let's do it Thursday morning.
Done.
Okay, I'll post. Go to patreon.com/political. Hang out with Michael Cohen and I Thursday morning. We'll post the link later today. So if you go to patreon.com/political beatdown, check the feed, and you'll be able to find it right there. Thanks everybody for watching. Hang in there. We're in this together. And just keep checking back for updates here on the Midas Touch Network. Have a good one, everybody. See you soon.